Senior Planner with the Cape Cod Commission, and today's presentation is about growth management efforts on Cape Cod. I'll be providing an overview of regional growth management efforts since the creation of the Cape Cod Commission in 1990. I'll be providing some background on the legislation creating the Cape Cod Commission and its structure within county government. I'll discuss regional growth management tools available through the Cape Cod Commission Act. I'll be describing adjustments in the Commission's growth management strategy over its history. And I'll also describe potential future activities designed to direct growth and protect the resources of Cape Cod. First, a little background on the Cape Cod Commission Act. The Cape Cod Commission Act was created in response to rapid growth and development pressures during the 1980s and concerns by the public over loss of open space, water quality impacts, increasing traffic, and impacts to our community character. The Act was created by special legislation and approved by a majority of Barnstable County voters in 1990. The Cape Cod Commission Act has many purposes, including preserving natural resources, wildlife habitat, coastal and surface water quality, providing for balanced economic growth, adequate capital facilities, increasing our stock of affordable housing, and preserving our historical values. The Cape Cod Commission is organized as follows. First, there are 19 members of the Commission. These are volunteers that are appointed for each of the 15 towns by the Board of Selectmen and the Town Council in the case of Barnstable. There are also 4 special appointees, including a Native American representative, minority representative, county commissioner, and a governor's appointee. The Cape Cod Commission members are decision makers. They vote to review and approve the developments of regional impact that are the regulatory review by the Cape Cod Commission. They adopt regulations, other regulations, and they also vote to designate districts of critical planning concern. They are supported by a staff with expertise in many technical areas, including transportation, affordable housing, water resources, and design. The Commission is a department of Barnstable County with a budget that's funded through a special local tax assessment. I'll describe a little bit of the several regional growth management tools through the Cape Cod Commission Act. The first is the Cape Cod Regional Policy Plan, or RPP, the review of developments of regional impact, or DRIs, the preparation of local comprehensive plans by the towns, and districts of critical planning concern, or DCPCs. First, what is the Regional Policy Plan? It's both a planning and a regulatory document with policies and objectives to guide development on Cape Cod and protect its resources. It contains many performance standards that are applied to developments of regional impact. They also provide a framework for the preparation of local comprehensive plans by the towns. The RPP also designates resources of regional concern that are potential districts of critical planning concern. The plan is updated every 5 years, and the Commission is currently conducting one of those 5-year updates. The RPP contains a vision statement, which is reproduced here in part, which essentially is a collective vision by Cape Cod residents and citizens and supports the protection of the Cape and seeks to repair the mistakes of the past. The plan contains a growth policy. First, that growth should not exceed a town's ability to provide the services or infrastructure to support that growth. Second, that new development should pay its own way, in other words, mitigating potential impacts as a result of development. And that development should be located in existing village centers to limit sprawl and protect open space. In terms of the development of regional impact review, this is required for projects over a certain size. For example, greater than 10,000 square feet of commercial or industrial space, 30 units or 30 acres of residential use, and there are also 10 other review thresholds, including substantial alterations to historic structures, direct access to the coast, and other thresholds. There's also a discretionary review for smaller projects that don't meet one of these size thresholds. This is a type of project that's referred on the initiative of the town, and it first has to be voted by the Cape Cod Commission that it presents regional impacts. There are several criteria for approval of a DRI. It has to be consistent with the regional policy plan that I've just described, a town's local comprehensive plan, local zoning and regulations, a district of critical planning concern regulations if it exists for that area, and finally that the overall benefits of a project are greater than its detriments. In terms of the projects that have been reviewed by the Commission since 1990, there have been almost 350 DRIs. The Commission has approved around 80% of them with conditions designed to mitigate their impacts or protect resources. The Commission's reviewed more than half of proposed commercial development on the Cape that's been proposed since 1990, but only a small percentage of residential development, due in part at least to the small size of remaining parcels of residential land on Cape Cod that don't meet the 30-acre threshold. In terms of the next tool, the local comprehensive plans, the regional policy plan guides the development of these plans through its standards and policies. And the local plans, the goal of these plans is to identify changes needed to manage growth, whether it's changes to zoning or other regulations, or resource protection measures through additional studies that are needed by the towns. Most of the towns on the Cape have adopted these plans, and several are preparing updates, 5-year updates to the plans at this point in time. The next tool, the districts of critical planning concern. This is identified in the Act as areas of critical value to Barnstable County. Either the towns or the Commission can nominate one of these special areas for consideration, and the tool allows a timeout for planning and development of special local regulations designed to protect the resources that were identified for the district. There's also a special provision in this tool that eliminates what's called grandfathering protection in Massachusetts, which provides an equal footing for the regulations to apply to all properties within the district. The finite timeline of this tool keeps the effort moving forward quickly and allows comprehensive growth management for a specific area identified by the town as needing special protection. In terms of the first regional policy plan that was adopted in 1991, there was a preference given for cluster development, redevelopment, and mixed use. The plan also identified some relaxed standards for growth centers, in other words, those areas where the Commission desired or the town desired to direct growth. Also during this time, there were design guidelines developed not only to guide the Commission's design review of projects, but also to help the towns in developing their own local standards and guidelines. Once the first regional policy plan was developed, the Cape Cod Commission recognized there was a need to study issues concerning capacity and the impact of growth on infrastructure and natural resources for several towns in the Outer Cape. These studies analyzed development potential under existing zoning and quantified impacts both to water supply and traffic as well as open space resources as a result of this growth potential. This study led to some changes in the second regional policy plan in terms of recognition of this limited capacity of infrastructure to sustain the new growth, particularly in the areas of water supply, wastewater, and transportation. The second regional policy plan also adopted a goal to protect the 50% of the remaining land on Cape Cod as open space. During this time, there was also greater use of the DCPC tool. There were 6 areas designated during this time period. And the plan also provided additional incentives for redevelopment. In terms of the land protection efforts to meet that 50% goal, One of the key efforts was passage of the Cape Cod Open Space Land Acquisition Program, otherwise known as the Cape Cod Land Bank. This program has resulted in the protection of 4,000 acres of open space by the towns, and also protection of 15,000 acres of the Massachusetts Military Reservation for the protection of future water supply and habitat. In terms of the districts of critical planning concern, one example is in the town of Bourne, covering a 2,000-acre area along the Cape Cod Canal. The goals here included growth management, protection of drinking water, managing traffic flow, and preserving historic and natural resources. A second area, the Six Ponds area in the town of Harwich, covered 1,200 acres of land and 110 acres of water. And the goals here included protecting water and natural resources and managing growth. In terms of redevelopment of existing sites, the Commission designed a limited review for key areas of concern for these redevelopment projects. Also provided a shorter review time frame to make the process go faster, and there were some relaxed standards of review in the second regional policy plan to encourage redevelopment of existing sites. In terms of the results of growth management efforts to date, the DCPCs have been very effective in managing growth and protecting resources of Cape Cod. In addition, the DRI review process has resulted in mitigation for development impacts in many areas, including over 2,200 acres of open space that has been protected through the DRI review process, transportation improvements for many of the towns, as well as design funds that the towns can use to later design and construct projects, and also over 100 units of affordable housing have been provided through the DRI review process. In addition, major properties have been redeveloped on the Cape, and in some cases removing blighted or underutilized sites. There are continuing challenges, however. Residential sprawl has continued. There have also been the development of commercial buildings just below the Commission's review thresholds. And finally, there's still a need to implement the local comprehensive plans and pursue changes to zoning. The third regional policy plan in 2002 placed more emphasis on infrastructure planning, particularly in the area of wastewater planning, and also more emphasis on village centers and downtown areas. Some of these incentives allowed development to proceed with reduced commission review. The first tool that was adopted was called growth incentive zones. These are special areas that with advanced planning can proceed without commission review in some cases. Also, the projects of community benefit provides an exemption process for projects that can demonstrate that they have a greater community or regional benefit. And that finally more projects qualified for a limited review process. These are all tools to help encourage growth in the right places. In terms of the growth incentive zone tool, downtown Hyannis designated last year this area for this growth incentive zone. And the town did a lot of upfront planning, including zoning changes to allow mixed use in this area and up to 3 stories in height. Increased residential development within this special area has been offset by open space acquisition efforts by the town, as well as reduced zoning potential elsewhere outside of the district. And the town is looking at other ways to reduce commercial development potential along congested major roadways such as Route 28 and 132 as a way of offsetting the additional commercial potential within the growth incentive zone. In terms of where we might go from here for the next regional policy plan update, the Commission is looking at several strategies, including regional land use mapping, which would designate appropriate areas for growth as well as protection based on resources identified in the regional policy plan and as a tool to help towns change their zoning. Also, the Commission is looking at possible changes to DRI thresholds to provide more incentives for development within growth areas and discourage growth outside of those areas. And finally, a limited DRI review process for smaller projects where the scope of review would be determined based on significant impacts. There are a number of ways that you can participate in these processes. First is the update of the regional policy plan. The Commission will be conducting public forums and meetings in various parts of the Cape through the development and refinement of the regional policy plan update. Second, the regional land use mapping project will involve close coordination with the towns in terms of identifying areas for different types of land use and appropriate development. The local comprehensive plan updates are ongoing in many of the towns, and you can participate either by going to those meetings or in some cases serving on volunteer committees. Also, support for town meeting approval of zoning changes that are needed in all of the towns. And finally, when DRI hearings are conducted in your town, to participate in that process. And if you'd like additional information, please contact us at this address.